Welcome to the next free bike service school. Remember, 3 questions at the end. It's going to be your test as always. And today, headsets. But here is the catch. Both are A-head headsets, which we've been talking about on the channel. But here is the catch. If you neglected looking inside your old type headset, which means your cables do not go through your upper headset bearing, it will cost you probably first the lower bearing, then probably the upper bearing, depending on the quality of those seals right here. And the replacement will take you between 15 and 30 minutes. Easy and inexpensive. If you neglected servicing this type of headset, which is the same type of bearings actually, but the cable routing is the most stupid way of routing your cables just for the sake of having new feature on the new bike, it will cost you the bearings as on the older type, but also it can cost you, and it's no scam, no BS, working of your rear derailleur, your dropper post, your lockout, and even your rear brake. Here is why. Let's do it. At the end, we're going to look at some tools which can help you servicing those if you're doing it for your customers. And it's not pretty. Let's look at it. Okay, first let's listen what happens inside the frame and the headsets while you're turning. We start the service by removing the front wheel. If for any reason you don't have much space in your workshop, you can also remove the rear wheel. It's always easier to maneuver with the frame set and the components. And you need something that will hold on to your fork and the handlebars with the stem. In my case, it's just the additional bike stand. You can also use some type of shelf, just like this one, just anything. You would be able to put your fork on with the handlebars without actually breaking those cables, because the cables is the main issue now in the headset, which was never before. We're starting with these 2 bolts, one on the left side, one on the right side. In this case, sometimes, most of the times, both of the bolts will be from the same side, their heads, and loosening those 2 will not make our fork to fall down because we still have the upper one with the cap here. And it will often be the 4mm Allen key. Again here. Okay, the stem is free now, but the fork will not fall down. Okay, now I'm holding the crown of the fork, being ready to install it right here. And it's time for the upper bolt. That's the long one. And now, removing the grease. That's it. And this is normal. And here you can see it wasn't any clickbait or BS what I've been telling you about losing your shifting or brake or lockout or your dropper, because I can already feel that these housings are a little bit damaged by what? By this. This is metal and this is sharp edges. This is, how we can call it lightly, softly. This is stupid. And that's why I'm telling you about it. And now I have one good news in this lesson for you guys. This is the upper bearing, this is the lower bearing. Both are inside the head tube. The lower bearing is free from cables, meaning they probably plan to route the cables through both bearings for 2027, I don't know, but for us for now, we can simply remove it, clean it and grease it, just as we do with the steerer on the fork, and then we'll play a little with the upper one. Let's remove the lower bearing, and we already have a little rust here. Unfortunately, the lower bearing was dirty inside also. There were some sand pieces, some particles in it. So without replacing the bearing, this is the enduro bearing, which should be good. I actually cleaned it and now I will re-grease it. It's also a little bit weird that, you see, this thing here seems to be uneven. Like, doesn't it sit straight in the frame? Now I'm going to clean the fork side. Weird thing is that not all forks, not all bikes will have this additional seal, the red one you can see here, but unfortunately it doesn't do a good job here. I don't know why. There's so much sand here. This is just perfect. Okay. And now the fun part. Now you know what I was talking about. We cannot remove this bearing just as we did with the lower one. And you also know what I was talking about at the beginning. Some people would write to me that this was a clickbait. You need to disconnect all these housings if you want to replace the bearing. That's a lot of work, bleeding of your rear brake, and of course, if you have electronical shifting, you will only have the lockout, but probably now you have also electronic lockout, and your bike costs $20,000, and I will still charge you for bleeding the rear brake. So this is how it goes. We're gonna clean this, then remove this bearing and clean it just as it is here. You see, everything above the bearing now is clean. There is no particles here. I don't want those to fall down to my head tube and the bearing. Now we're going to remove the bearing. Okay, now I'm going to check the bearing. Degreaser. All four have been rubbed a little. This is the brake housing, the rear brake. This one is the best. It's more flexible than the other three. This is your dropper post, not good condition. This is the lockout, not good condition. And a little bit better is the rear shifter. For me, this is the warranty claim thing. Let's grease it and assemble it. Can greasing the housings can help a little? It can a little. So I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on those and also on those edgy tubes inside. This is the element that will turn with the bearing. It's supposed to be like this. Too many spacers. So stupid. This is so stupid. I can't believe it. Yeah, how stupid it is. Now the fork is safe. Now I'm going to degrease everything from the outside. Let's put the wheels back on. Now we'll put the compression on the headset. Six Newton meters. Let's listen to it. Of course, the housings will still hit the frame inside. I tried to optimize the way they are being routed, and the bearings are now working smoother. This is your test. Question number 1. Name at least 3 consequences of not servicing fully integrated headset regularly. Write it down in the comment. Question number 2. In the fully integrated headset, which of these 2 bearings will be serviced in a classical, normal manner? And question number 3. What would you have to disconnect on the bike in order to replace the upper bearing? Thank you for watching and being with me. If you find my materials helpful, you can use my links. You can sometimes look at the auctions that I put in the description, not often, but sometimes. And that's it for this lesson. See you in the next one.